Today, I'm going to show you Call of Duty games ranked from worst to best. Before the video begins, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe to the Gaming United channel. Now, let's begin. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Starting off our countdown is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Released in 2016, the game was perhaps the most futuristic one at the time. During the single-player campaign, the battle was no longer set on Earth. Instead, we were duking it out in space. This change of pace was great to see, but the overall execution was interesting enough to keep players playing the story mode until its completion. Call of Duty 3. Moving to the complete opposite of the jetpack era of Call of Duty, next on our list is Treyarch's first go at the franchise and the last in the original Call of Duty series. The original 3 games followed a rather simple format, all centered around some portion of World War II, and came with a decently made multiplayer. Where Call of Duty 3 slipped up was that it never felt like a complete game. And that the game did not do so well also because it was never released to PC. Call of Duty Ghosts. Ghosts was the COD series' first entry on the next-generation consoles of the time, the Xbox One and PS4, both of which just released that same holiday season. The strongest part of Ghosts' campaign is perhaps the bond you form with your dog, Riley. Throughout the story mode, which is set in a fictional world where North and South America are at war, you really get a sense of how distraught and lonely this world is now. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Following up on Ghosts was the first jetpack game of the series in Advanced Warfare. The game introduced brand new movement mechanics. Players donning exosuits were able to dash and juke midair, which was a nice sight to see for the series. The story mode of the game was also an improvement on Ghosts. Many fans were skeptical of the game going into it, as it was the first time Sledgehammer Games developed a Call of Duty game. One thing you may have noticed on this list thus far is the lack of sympathy we're giving toward the jetpack era of Call of Duty. Call of Duty Black Ops 3. 2013 to 2015 wasn't the best time for Call of Duty fans. The series was undergoing some massive changes with the introduction of jetpacks and other variables that made die-hard Call of Duty fans skeptical of the series going forward. The third iteration of Treyarch's Black Ops series was once again continuing the story right where it left off, a high-tech battle, but now they introduced new characters and outfits called Specialists. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Once again, here's a game on this list that isn't necessarily bad, but rather more disappointing due to the timing of Modern Warfare 3. This game was the final conclusion to the Modern Warfare saga. The story mode is intriguing throughout the game as we finally tie up some loose ends from Modern Warfare 2. Finally coming to a resolution with certain characters was nice to see. Call of Duty World War II. Whether or not to put Call of Duty World War II below World at War was one of the toughest decisions we faced when making this list. World War II was Call of Duty's first game since the Jetpack series of games. Fans were asking for another World War II themed game for quite some time. The biggest highlight of the game is by far the single player. The first mission you partake in is the iconic D-Day. Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty 2 was the series' first go at true console gaming. Released alongside the Xbox 360 in 2005, Call of Duty 2 was one of the must-have games for the newest console. Call of Duty 2 is another one of the games that put you in the shoes of multiplayer factions throughout the story mode and executes it perfectly. It's a well-executed game, especially for the time, as this was probably a lot of players' first go at the series. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Modern Warfare has been relatively good. With this being one of the newest Call of Duty games, it's by far the best in terms of graphics and overall sound design. They re-added the story mode after it wasn't present in the previous iteration of the series. The story is decent. Some movements have you on your heels wondering what's going to happen next. It'll be interesting to see how they continue the story into the next Modern Warfare. Call of Duty World at War. Treyarch's second go at this series is widely considered one of the best World War II story modes of the series. Straying from the traditional model, which follows the Americans throughout the European theater, the series experimented and let us dive into the bloody Pacific War along with a Russian storyline. Each soldier we got to follow throughout the story had their highlights, captivating fans, as the graphics and level of gore in the game was one of a kind. Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Treyarch's latest installment in the series was a gigantic improvement over the last Black Ops game, and it was also the first Call of Duty to not have a story mode. Instead of having a single-player mode, Treyarch opted for the newly popular Battle Royale game mode. Blackout is a fantastic game mode in its own rights, and players still play it heavily to this day. It was a massive risk for the developers, and it paid off. The multiplayer of the game was also a huge step in the right direction for the series. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. The latest iteration of the main series of Call of Duty games is already a few months old, but fans have already made up their mind regarding the game. Black Ops Cold War is Treyarch's latest entry into the series, and if you're familiar with the developers at all, then you're well aware they're best known for their multiplayer and zombies game modes. The latter is back in full force this year, and so far, they've released 2 zombies maps. Call of Duty. The game that started it all. The original Call of Duty. It was released in 2003 for the PC and was revolutionary at the time. The game was one of the pioneers of the FPS genre, and we may not be where we are today if it wasn't for Call of Duty. The game's story mode was based in World War II and followed 3 of the Allied forces: the US, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union. Each of the missions for the Allied forces was unique, and you never felt like you were repeating a mission. Call of Duty Black Ops. The first entry into the famous Black Ops series was considered one of the best of all time when it was released in 2010. The story mode was set during the Cold War era between the Soviet Union and United States. The story mode had some of the best script writing in the series, and was one that captivated and immersed fans in the series. Black Ops also saw massive improvements to Nazi zombies. Call of Duty Warzone. Call of Duty has reached new heights in recent years, and this is in large part due to the abnormal success of its Battle Royale game mode, Warzone. Since its release in March of 2020, when the pandemic was starting to affect people around the world, the game has quickly become one of the best Battle Royales ever created. On top of that, Activision Blizzard continues to develop the game to its fullest extent. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Moving on to perhaps the most controversial one on our list, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is one of the most beloved games in the series. It was by far the best game in the series at the time. It was the first time they strayed away from the World War II theme and introduced some modern concepts into the game. This was also the game where we meet some of the franchise's most beloved characters, including Captain Price, who's still seen in Call of Duty games today and is the centerpiece of the series. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022. The sequel to Modern Warfare essentially took everything that the game was exceptional at and somehow made it better in every way. Taking a look at the single player, Modern Warfare 2 had multiple story settings throughout a fictional world, and some of the missions were some of the most memorable in the series. We picked up right where we left off in the first game, and through some jaw-dropping twists and turns, we're left wondering what's next for the series at the end. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 followed up on the Cold War story mode we played through in the original game and took it to a more futuristic setting. It was also the first story mode in the history of Call of Duty games that gave us narrative dialogue choices. Once again, they improved the zombies portion of the game, and it had more maps and more components that made the experience better than the last. Thank you for watching, and please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable post alerts to view more of our future videos. After saying that, keep watching our videos, and I'll speak with you in the next one.